Well, for more on the future of the Olympics and of American sports in general, I'm joined live from New York by Mike Bako, sports editor for DailyNational.com. Good to see you again, Mike.
Good to see you as well.
So overall, how would you rate the different professional sports leagues' handling of the pandemic?
Well, you have to give a gold star to the NHL and the NBA. The NHL finals just completed. They had two bubbles, one on the east coast of Canada, one on the west coast, and then they had the NHL finals. And now the NBA, you mentioned it earlier, game one of the finals the other night, game two tonight, and they're going to cross the finish line. Major League Baseball, who didn't stay in a bubble in one city, but had more of a self-imposed bubble where the teams and the players and the staff basically were just going to and from their homes or hotels to the ballpark. That seems to have worked, even though they had some bumps at the beginning of the process. They're now in their playoffs, and we're seeing what's going to happen with the NFL, who is trying to do the Major League Baseball model. So far, so good in terms of testing, but they've got their first cancellation this week with an outbreak at the Tennessee Titans facility, a couple of players, a couple of personnel. That's the first casualty of the NFL season. But so far, so good, all things considered, for the major professional sports here in North America.
Now, we know that in the U.S. as well as parts of Europe, it does appear that leagues are moving forward, but still many have not invited fans to attend yet. How long do you think that's likely going to be the norm for?
Well, it was the norm all throughout the NHL and the NBA restart. Major League Baseball, same thing. But now, this second phase of the Major League Baseball playoffs, they're going to neutral cities. And in those neutral cities, specifically in Arlington, Texas, they're going to allow fans. They're thinking that not only for the League Championship Series, but also for the World Series in about 2.5 weeks, there will be fans at about 10% capacity of the stadium. So anywhere from 5,000 to 12,000 fans in Arlington, Texas. And in the NFL, they are playing games in front of fans. In Kansas City, there's about 20,000 fans scattered about the stadium. Same thing in Dallas and a couple of other cities. So fans on a small scale, a small percentage, are making their way into those facilities.
Now, as we turn to the Olympics now, we know that plans are moving forward for the event in 2021 in Tokyo. But that being said, there are calls for the Games to be postponed again if the world is still in its current pandemic state. What are your thoughts about the Games still moving forward?
Well, right now it's full steam ahead. As the Japanese Olympic minister said, we are going to have these games at all costs. And if you look at the dollars and cents of it, they've already spent $12 billion. It's $12 billion and counting. So that's just for when they thought that the games were going to be held this past summer. So you're probably looking at an additional $1 to $2 billion minimum in the ramp up and the redo in 2021 in the summer if they are actually able to pull it off. You know, that is all contingent on many variables. Obviously, you're thinking about a vaccine. You're looking at, you know, the ability for the athletes to travel. Will there be a bubble? Can they even pull off a bubble within, say, the Olympic Village? Will they allow spectators? Will sponsors still stay on board? Those are all things that are currently in flux, and no one really has an answer other than the best laid plans and of saying, hopefully, that we will have these games in 2021 in July when they are scheduled to take place. If the vaccine is in place, if it is distributed, those signs do point to the ability to pull it off. And if they are willing to do it without fans, let's say if they're willing to follow an NHL, NBA model where everyone stays in a bubble, it could be pulled off. There's billions of dollars at stake.
Now, it is a long way off, but currently Japan bans entry from 160 countries because of COVID. If that's still the case 9 months from now, how do athletes from those countries end up competing?
It's going to be a wild logistical hurdle of quarantining, coming in, rapid testing, if they're even able to and willing to do that. Like you mentioned, not only would it be an issue of quarantining, right now they're just outright banning them from coming in. So maybe they have special dispensation for those Olympic athletes, but then not only are you thinking about the athletes who are participating, you're talking about the coaches, the support staff. So you're not just looking at, say, 50 to 250 people that are athletes from a specific country. You're looking at hundreds, if not thousands of people that could potentially be coming. That's where the hurdles come in. And instead of planning right now for the games to be going on as is, they should be looking at the NBA and the NHL and figuring out how can we pull that off, because that's a best case scenario.
So as we look at that balance between the economic toll of postponing or cancelling versus the health toll in Japan's biggest city and hosting the Olympics, just very quickly, what is at stake here?
Again, going back to those billions of dollars, they've already put in $12 billion. In the Olympic Charter, it says that it must take place within a year of the scheduled date. So by Olympic Charter, if it does not take place in 2021, then poof, there go the Tokyo Olympics, because they're going to move on to the 2024 and beyond. They're not going to continuously put this off. Plus, 2022 Winter Olympics taking place that year. They probably don't want to have a winter and summer in the same year.